So hi everyone, my name is Ayushi. I'm from Aussie's Group. I'm based in Werribee office. I welcome you all to day one of this year's biggest virtual event, which is Aussie's Conclave. Here we'll be discussing about all the course options and the career options of one of the very popular course amongst international students, that is accounting. Thank you so much everyone for being part of this conclave. Thank you for being patient, and let's start with our PPT. So I'll be sharing my screen here. Let me know if everybody can see the PPT once I start here. Can everybody view my screen? Should be okay. Anyways, I'll just start off here. So today's topic is accounting occupations and courses. My name is Ayushi Shah, as I've informed before. I'm a QX certified agent. My contact number is displayed on the screen and my email address as well. You can contact me for any questions, any queries that you have. All right. So why accounting? Now, the first and the foremost thing amongst international students. Now, I would say accounting has been one of the very popular courses. However, I've seen recently, in recent times, because of the future PR pathways and because of things in the different scenarios about PR, there has been a deviation of these courses. Now, not a lot of people are interested in doing this course or are not even motivated to do this course. But trust me, accounting has been one of the very popular courses, and there are way more future outcomes after this courses. Now, let me just quickly run you through what are the outcomes and what is the current situation with the employment and with accounting course. So what is accounting basically, and why accounting? So that plays a vital role in our businesses. So it's pretty much accounting is our day-to-day life because it helps you track our income, expenditures, start compliance, provide investment management, etc. Accounting helps us in keeping a record for day-to-day transactions. So pretty much you do accounting. Everyone does accounting on day-to-day basis. While you do in your daily life activities, in that scenario, the accounting will help you. You can record your day-to-day transactions. A simple definition of accounting is it keeps record for all the financial transaction to an individual or an entity. Now, why accounting is a multi-sector career. So basically, accountancy is a unique function and is a skill essential in every industry, every organization. Now, I believe there is no organization where accounting is not needed. Every single occupation, every single industry would need accounting in one way or the other form. Without accounting, I don't think so any organization can run on its own. Accountants have advantages of working in varied sectors. I think that is one of the KPI of this course, because accounting, all the accountants are so fortunate that they get to work in any sector, be it health industry, be it hospitality industry, be it any industry, IT industry, etc. You can work in every industry because every industry would need accountants. So as I said, be it public service or non-profit organizations, or it can be government or charitable organizations, financial services such as personal and private banking, investments and pensions, public practices such as firms that provide services to the wide range of clients, corporate in-house positions within the profit business, and shared services such as finance, human resource, information technology, etc. So I would say accounting, the occupation itself is not confined to just one industry. You know, it is one of the pivotal career that you can lead to any industry. It gives you a whole pathway to go into any industry. So accountants are needed in any organizations, corporate sectors, government sectors, as you've already seen in my PPT here. Upskilling is again one of the forte of these occupation. Now let's go with the next slide here. Yeah, what is the pros of an accounting career? A healthy income. Now, graduates can expect for a start up to 50,000 per year. Now, this is just the start. It can vary here and there. This is not the exact amount, but yes, an accountant usually starts its own package from 50,000, and there is way more ahead to go. On the job learning, plenty of upskilling opportunities. The industry itself is so wide that you have a lot of upskilling opportunities. Now, an accountant is not confined to just one industry. Being an accountant, if you're working in an IT industry, you get so much to learn about IT industry. If you're working in a healthcare sector and you are an accountant, accountant, you get so much to learn about their own industry. So there's never ending opportunity of you to learn anything. There's always something that you keep on educating yourself. It's a free business education. As I just said, accountants get an inside view of how businesses operate. That is again one of the key features. No career ceilings. Scope of working in multiple sectors, public companies or private practice. You can get into a foray of audit, tax, healthcare accounting, general company accounting, etc. Now, what are the popular courses? Now, accounting is again one such popular course that is not confined to few universities, few institutes, few colleges and all. I would say accounting is one of the very popular courses, one of the very I'd like to use a very nice word about this, but it's not occurring in my mind. But yeah, accounting is one of the very good course that you can find in pretty much every institution at one or the other point. So there is accounting, commerce, business specialized in accounting major, business bachelors of commerce, bachelors of law. So there's also a dual degree. So there's always a combination of degrees. Now you don't see these combinations in other courses frequently, because accounting itself is one such course. It is one of the multi course that you can actually combine your degrees with accounting and have a career within that. So you can imagine how far you can go with this degree. So it pretty much starts from diploma of accounting, and then goes to bachelor's of accounting, master's of accounting, professional accounting, commerce, management, one or the other forte of accountants. How to find the right accounting course. Now, it must be accredited by the industry's head professional body, CPA. Now, CPA, Certified Practicing Accountant, is a main body that governs the assessment of the accountants accounting courses. So basically, you go to CPA once you finish your degree, and they'll assess your degree. But any degree that you do must be recognized by the CPA. So without CPA recognition, I don't think so your degree would be valid enough. Graduates to the accredited program will be able to get an associate level professionalism membership with CPA. That is just the membership that you get once you complete your degree and get your registration from them. Hugely beneficial for the program will be minimum 92 week study. Now that is again the post-study work requirements that you have to complete your 92 weeks of studies. You have work-based learning, training, internships, capstone projects, components of the professional enhancement. Look into institutions, ranking, reputation, graduate employment outcomes. Now pretty much every university would have accounting as their own course, as a running course. So you will be having this course available with many colleges, many universities. So you can choose whichever one you want, but you have to make sure that you go through the prerequisites of the program, you go through the outcomes of the program, you go through the employment outcome, graduate outcome. So you need to know what course you're doing and how are you going to deal with that. Industry partnerships, strong alumni network. That is again one of the part of accountancy courses. Now, once you complete this course, it's not just the accountant degree that you get. There's such a misconception between a lot of students that what I can be, general accountant or management accountant. No, there has been so many other degrees, even apart from what I have mentioned in my PPT. But there are many types of accountants that you can go for. These are the occupations that you can actually nominate yourself. So, management accountant, financial consultant, business consultant, analyst, public practice accountant, senior accountant, financial, general, and taxation accountant. So, what is the pros of accounting career? I would say so. A very healthy income that you get, as I just said, you always continue to educate yourself all the time. You grasp so much because you have all the information about very different fields, insights of the business. Now this is not in terms of just one thing. You get to know a lot of profit and loss about the own industry. So let's say if you're working in one or the other field, hospitality industry or a big organization, a government organization, so you actually get to know about the insights. There's an understanding of intricate working of any business. So, and again, the degree can take you to any sector, and you can pursue any outcomes that are very high in demand. Now, does Australia needs accountants? That is again one of the very found questions, but yes, it's a definite yes, because Australia needs a lot of accountants. According to the survey, this Geoff Balmer, the founding director of RLA recruitment firm, explains that the agency had one role for new graduate per month, and now they are recruiting for more than 6 graduate accountants per month. So you can imagine, you can actually see where the data has actually gone to. So even if you're doing this course, there is not something that you really have to worry about, because there are options for you. You just have to go out and explore yourself. Recruitment company Hayes. Now, I'm sure everybody would have heard about Hayes recruitment process, but they report that accounting is amongst the most top 3 priority positions employers are looking into to hire into the post-pandemic world. Now, again, this is one of the very good news for accountants, that there is no less employment available for you guys, but there is always a lot of employment available for accountants. Accountants looking to fill accountancy and finance roles for over the next 12 months nominated financial accounting and reporting as the most prioritized position. So you can see there is a scarcity of accountants, I would say here. Now, according to the job statistics data, now this data is actually taken from ABS, and you can see there's 194,361 employment of accountants, which is 5% increase in 1 year and 8% change within 5 years. Now, this is not a less amount when you consider there are so many accountants already in the field. There are so many accountants already looking for a job. So you just have to outgo yourself and look for something that is really suitable for yourself, for your role, for your accountancy occupation. So you can see full-time workers on an adult wage earn around 1660 per week. So I would say don't go on the weekly data, but yes, the definite data would be around 50,000 would be your yearly package, and it can always go more and more. Now, what will be the future demand? So, as per the National Skills Commission, professional accountings were found to be in the shortage with strong future demand. Now, there are a lot of students I hear saying, a lot of people come to me saying that, oh, I've actually completed this course, but this is not something that I'm looking for, or this is not something that I had imagined my career into. But you are not confined to that particular one occupation. You know, there are many, many, many occupations that you already have with yourself. So you just have to explore your options. As I said, it's not just one degree, there are many degrees within the degree. Now, according to this data here, you can see this S is for shortage. So there is actually a shortage in every single state of Australia. So you can see there's shortage in New South Wales. Now, these are the highly demanded occupations about accounting, management accountant, taxation accountant, and they really require accountancy into every single state here. So you can see NSW, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia, they all fall under S. So they have really strong requirement for accounting occupations or accountants. You can see a more detailed data here. So there is just a normal survey done on few places. Now you can see there's Coffs Harbour, which is one of the regional places in New South Wales. Employment of accountants in Adelaide, in Geelong, again, which is regional in Victoria, and there is a national employment of accountants overall. Now you can see in Coffs Harbour, which is again a very remote place, a very regional area in NSW, there's 18% increment in the employment. And within 5 years, they're expected to be almost double. Not exactly, but yeah, it's almost 47%. So similarly, in Geelong, you can see there's more than 25% increase and 47%. And even in Adelaide, I guess Adelaide data, 5 years, it's almost 80%. So you know where you're going to. So accountants, future growth, weekly earnings, you can see from here. This is again one of the data from the National Skills website. Employment and the future growth and the weekly earnings always increase day by day. Now, I'm not going to have such a long session. I'm just going to keep you short for everybody. But you can see that you can study this course, and even if you don't have any background, that is one of the very good thing about accountancy, because you don't have to have a bachelor's into accounting for you to go into masters of accounting, because bachelor's itself, you can do anything. You can do bachelor's of business, you can do bachelor's of science, and you still want to go for accounting. Yes, you can definitely go, because there is no prerequisite that you have to meet the requirements for early bachelor's or a similar field into bachelor's. No relevant background is needed. Even if you have bachelor's of accounting, you can still pursue masters. Now, English requirements for majority of the universities, so it'll be very similar to all the bachelors. So pretty much bachelor's will be overall 6, no better than 6, and masters would be overall 6.5, no better than 6, unless it's a discretionary matter and different with the universities and different institutions. Courses available are again with public and private colleges, even with TAFEs, which is government based. So you can go with any of these courses. As I said, the graduate outcomes are amazing, and I'm sure you'll go way further if you have this degree with you. I'm just going to see a few things here, and she can take over for the next presentation. Guys, if you have any questions that you would like to discuss, please message in the group and I'll be answering any questions that you have. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ayushi. All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? That's great. So to start with, I will share my PowerPoint. Just give me 1 second.
Sorry, guys. Looks like there's a technical glitch with Yuting. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yuting, we can see your
I think
screen.
it just take a few more seconds. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, we can.
That's great. Thanks, Ayushi. All right, hello everyone. Thanks for attending our this 2022 virtual session. And my name is Yu Ting. I'm the registered migration agent from Perth office, from Aussies Group Perth office. I'll be continuing this session to give you more information about the migration pathway for accounting occupations. This is my email address and the phone number. So I'm based in Perth office, but if you have any more question like you would like to discuss with me, feel free to email me or phone me. We can always do the WhatsApp or phone call consultation or just chat by email to discuss your details discuss your case in details. So I will start. Yes, so I can see that there are a few guests that you have left your questions here. No rush. I will just be covering all your questions shortly in all my slides. So here I would like to start with the popular occupations that will lead you to PR for accounting or auditors graduates. As Ayushi mentioned, it doesn't matter where you like I usually mention, like every industry may require the accountant. So actually, accountant is a very, very popular occupation in Australia, no matter where. Among all the accounting related occupation, these mentions 6 occupations are the most popular occupations that can lead you to PR. So for the occupations that are on medium long-term list, there are general accountant, management accountant, taxation accountant, and external auditor. And for the occupation that are on the short-term list, there is finance manager. So all these 6 mentioned, these 6 above mentioned occupations, their skill assessment body are the same. So you can choose any one of them, which is the CPA, IPA, or CA. So I think that might answer the question from Tanili. I think your name is Tilini, sorry. I think this may answer your question. So Tilini asked, does CA and Z, this is Chartered Accountants, Australia and New Zealand, does CA program also considered as a similar program as CPA for accounting visas? Yes. So for all these 6 mentioned these occupations, you can just choose any of these 3 mentioned skill assessment body to do your skill assessment. Their requirements are almost the same. They are exactly the same. So which I will mention in my next slides as well. If your occupation, if this like the accounting and the external auditor, because these 4 occupations, they are on the medium long-term list. So theoretically, you have all the PR pathways, such as the general skill migration and also all types of employer-sponsored visas. In terms of the finance manager, because it is only on the short-term list, you may not have the access to the independent migration, which is the subclass 189, but you still have access to state nomination and also some employer-sponsored visas. On the migration occupation list, you might find some other occupations that are also related to accounting or auditing, which are corporate treasurer, company secretary, and internal auditor. So here for the corporate treasurer, it is only on the regional occupation list and has only access to the subclass 494, which is the provisional regional employer-sponsored visa. So I'm not going to talk that too much. But anyway, in the next slides, I will also mention, I will also explain you what subclass 494 is. For company secretary, it is on the short-term list, and internal auditor, it is on the medium long-term list. For these 2 occupations, the skill assessment body is different from the other mentioned occupations. These 2 skill assessment bodies actually VETASYS. So for VETASYS, you actually not only required to have a relevant qualification, which is bachelor or above, but also you need to have at least 1 year post-qualification work experience with no less than 20 hours per week. All right. So for the CPA, IPA, CA, these three skill assessment body, what the skill assessment requirements you need to meet. Like what I say, actually these three skill assessment body, their requirements are exactly the same. So you can just choose one from them to do the skill assessment. And there are always lots of clients they're asking, Yuting, I've done my recognized bachelor qualification or master qualification in accounting from Australia. Do I still need to do this full skill assessment? What is that for? Or can I straight away like have access to the general skill migration visa or employer sponsored visa? Yeah, that's actually a very common asked question. So what is skill assessment? Skill assessment is actually is a procedure for the skill assessing body to assess, to recognize that you really have met the skill level that is required for this nominated occupation. So let's say even if you have really studied a accredited course in Australia, unfortunately you still need to first pass this skill assessment in order to have access to any to I would say 99% of the migration visas. So what are the requirements? First of all, you must have at least an Australian bachelor's degree or equivalent. So here the equivalent means even if, let's say, even if you completed your bachelor or master of IT or related related course from overseas, it is still fine. Okay, it is still fine as long as your bachelor or above qualification has covered all the mandatory units that is required for the accounting related occupation, you might still pass the skill assessment. So it doesn't really matter whether your qualification is obtained in Australia or overseas. But of course, if you're just planning to start your study, better to follow what Ayushi just now mentioned. Better to choose a course that is in Australia that has been already recognized by CPA or IPA or CA. That is more convenient. And secondly, like what I say, your course must have your course must have really covered all the required units. And thirdly, you must have obtained have met the required English requirement. So the English requirement is 7H in IELTS. So here, be careful, only academic IELTS is acceptable. And the other equivalent English test is also acceptable, such as the PT Academic, OET, or Cambridge English, or the TOEFL. The TOEFL is also acceptable. All right, if you couldn't reach 7H, that's fine. If you complete the professional year program, that can get the English requirement waived. So here I've listed out the mandatory units for each occupation. In the first column, you can see actually for general accountant, management accountant, finance manager, and corporate treasurer, all these four occupations, their mandatory units are exactly the same. And the second column lists out the required units for taxation accountant. So apart from the 7 units that are exactly the same as the column 1, you just need to make sure you have completed the Australian taxation law to pass the skill assessment as taxation accountant. And for external auditor, you need to do another unit, which is called audit and assurance. So actually, there's not much difference between these 6 occupations, only very slight difference on 1 or 2 units. Let's say if you just only lack 1 or 2 units, it is also fine because the skill assessment bodies such as CPA, they would have their online online course because for the university course, it might take you time to finish the whole semester because you may only require to do another 1 or 2 units to complete this skill assessment. So instead of enrolling into a university bachelor or master straight away, you actually can choose to first get your units advice. First apply for your full skill assessment and get the advice from the skill assessment body to see whether your course have already passed all the mandatory units. If the advice from the skill assessment body is, okay, you still need to do another 1 to 2 units, that is fine. You can straight away go to CPA website and apply for their online course. It's actually kind of online self-paced training program. If you can, you just take your own pace to finish that online study. And once you pass the exams, you will be able to finish these units, and then you can get your skill assessment reapplied, and then you will get your full skill assessment. All right, so once we get the full skill assessment outcome, we can talk about our skill migration. We can talk about our the migration, how to get the PR. The very popular PR pathway is, of course, the general skill migration visas, which is subclass 189, 190, and 491. So what are they? They are all point-based visa. So that's what people are always talking about, like how many points I have and whether I have got the invitation. So that's the visa, what we are always talking about. So 189, it's independent migration. This 189, only the occupation that are on the medium long-term list will have access to 189 visa. All right, so this 189 is independent migration. You do not have to rely on anyone. You don't have to rely on any state sponsorship. As long as you have enough points, as long as your points is high enough, you will get invitation. The second subclass is 190, that's state sponsorship. So for this one, you not only need to meet the minimum points requirement, but also you need to meet the additional requirements that is made by every state, by a certain state. 491, that is called regional state sponsor or regional relative sponsorship. So under 491, there are two streams. The first stream is regional sponsor, state sponsor, and the second is the relative sponsor. There are not much difference. The only difference is who's gonna give you the extra 15 points. So if you go for the state sponsorship, then the state will offer you 15 points extra. If you go for the relative sponsor, then the relative who's gonna sponsor you will give you the extra 15 points. But same as 189 visa, if you go for 491 relative sponsor, make sure your occupation must be on the medium and long-term list. For example, if your occupation is finance manager, unfortunately, it is only on the short-term list. So actually, you only have access to the 190 and the 491 regional state sponsorship visa. The points required for all these three types of visa are the same, 65 points. But for 190, because the state will offer you extra 5 points, so by yourself, you just need to have minimum 60 points. And for 491, because you will get extra 15 points from either the relative or the state, so you just need to get at least 50 points by yourself. But currently, the competition, especially for accounting, is always very fierce. So try to increase your points. All right, always try to increase your point. The common requirement for all three types of visa, the other common requirement is you must have passed the full skill assessment, and also you must have at least 6 in English or equivalent in PTE, TOEFL, the Cambridge English or the OET. But again, because currently the invitation point for all these three subclasses of visa are not that low, so please try to try to increase your point by getting 7H or 8H. All right, so that you will increase your chance to get invitation. And the difference between these three visas are 189 and 190. They are direct PR. They are permanent resident visa. But for 491, it's actually just a provisional PR. It's actually a temporary visa. But of course, once you get this visa, once you get this 491, you will be beneficiary from the Medicare. However, you still need to hold this 491 visa for at least 3 years' time before you're eligible for the PR, which is the subclass 191 visa. Okay. So this is the comparison table that I made for you. So this is for the migration planning levels of these three types of skilled migration visas for this financial year and the past financial year. So it's a comparison. From here, you can have a better clue of what changes has been made for this financial year in comparison to the last financial year. So in terms of the total number for all these three types of general skilled migration visa, you can see it has been actually doubled up for this 2022 to 2023 financial year. So which means I would say I hold a very optimistic attitude to this new financial year. I would say no matter whether you want to apply for 189 or state nomination visas, you should have more potential. All right. I can't promise for 189. If you're only aiming to get 189 in independent migration visa, I would say you might still need to wait for a bit long time. Why? Because in the past 2 financial year, because of the COVID-19, the 189, the slots for 189 visa was very, very limited, which making the cutoff point for all the occupations very, very high, ridiculously high. And in the last one financial year, there were actually no accounting related occupation, not even one got invitation. So even though for this new financial year, the 189 independent migration slots, the allocations has been increased by more than 10,000 slots. I would say you might still need to wait for a bit long time for the immigration to clear the pending EOIs that are already in the queue for the past 2 years. But pay more attention to the state nomination. That's the next topic I would like to share with you. I would say for state nomination, you would definitely have much more potential, have much more chance, especially in the regional areas. Okay. Before I start the next slide, I'll just quickly go through the question. I'll see what questions I can answer now. So from Hachi Vu, she asked, what is the importance of accounting PY program for your immigration plan? All right, so for PY, which is the professional year, first of all, it will give you extra 5 points. All right, it will give you extra 5 points to make your invitation, to make your EOI points higher. And secondly, if you cannot get 7 each in a short time, you can use the professional year completion letter to waive the 7 each requirements that is required by the CPA, IPA, or CA to pass the skill assessment. So these are the biggest advantage of PY program. And also through the PY program, you will get a better chance to get a job opportunity, because the PY program will be giving you a chance to do the 3-month internship. Even though that is unpaid, that is fine. You will get exposure to at least to this job, and you will get a chance to build some connection and relationship with the professionals in this industry, and also accounting companies. So which will give you high chance to get a job. And Sunil Shah asked, can you please explain new financial year pathway for an accountant? Yes, that's what I'm doing now. And please keep tuned. Sarah, what about PR? Yes, there is demand and will be help in new financial year. Yes, okay. So I'm gonna give you more idea about the detailed skill migration pathway. So because now it is just the first week of July. It's actually most of the states, they haven't announced their new migration plans, which is the state nomination plans for this coming this new financial year. The only state that has already announced the new requirement and announced the new occupation list is Western Australia. So I will start. Today, my topic will be mainly about the Western Australia state nomination. All right, so there is a very big change for Western Australia state nomination in this financial year. In the last financial year, or in the past few years, the WA state nomination was only open to people who were in Australia. Okay, but from now on, Western Australia state nomination will be open to all applicants, no matter where you are. You can be in Western Australia, you can be in other states, and you can even from offshore. Of course, this Western Australia state nomination, they would have their own ranking hierarchy depending on where you were from, where you're from. But at least for people who are overseas or who are living in the other states, at least you already got a chance to straight away lodge your EOI. All right, so for Western Australia state nomination, there are 3 streams, and each stream got their own occupation list. There are 2 streams with that include the accounting related occupation. So the first one is general stream schedule 2. General stream schedule 2 only has the general accountant that is in the list. And for graduate stream, most of the accounting related occupations are on this graduate stream. They are general accountant, taxation accountant, management accountant, external auditor, finance manager, internal auditor, and even company secretary. So what's the difference between these 2 streams? For general stream schedule 2, this one is for everyone. It doesn't matter where you completed your studies. So the only 2 requirements are you must have 7H. Okay, you must have got the proficient English. So you must have 7H or 65H in PTE. The other equivalent English test is also acceptable. And here the 7H can be either from academic IELTS or general IELTS. So this is the difference between a requirement from the skill assessment. But here, if you let's say if you use the professional year completion letter to pass the skill assessment without getting 7H, here, if you want to have access to Western Australia state nomination, you still need to get 7H. Why? Because this is the requirement, this is the additional requirement by WA state nomination. And secondly, you must have already got a full-time employment contract in WA that is for at least 12 months as general accountant or closely related occupation. Because general stream, only general accountant is on the general stream schedule 2. So I straight away make the position as general accountant. All right. And for graduate stream, here for graduate stream, it is actually only specialized for people who are graduated from Western Australia. So first of all, the requirement is you must be Western Australia graduates. And secondly, same as the general stream schedule 2, you must have already got proficient English. And thirdly, you can choose to either provide a full-time employment contract that is at least 6 months length in Western Australia in your nominated occupation or closely related occupation, or if you have already got 6 months of paid Australian work experience in your nominated occupation or closely related occupation, you just need to provide your work experience evidence, and you do not need to provide a future job contract. So the big difference between the graduate stream and general streams is general stream is open to everyone, no matter where you studied. Okay, but you must make sure you will or you have already got at least a 12-month full-time job contract in your position, okay, in Western Australia. But for graduate stream, you must be the Western Australia graduates. And also, you can choose to either provide a 6-month full-time job offer in Western Australia or choose to provide your 6 months of paid work experience. So here, the paid work experience in Australia, it must be the work experience that can be used to claim the points, which means your work experience must be no less than 20 hours per week. It can be full-time, it can be casual, it can be part-time, it doesn't matter. All right. But for the full-time employment, it must be a full-time. So full-time here in Western Australia state nomination, it means no less than 35 hours per week. Okay, 35 hours per week minimum. Or you can combine 2 part-time jobs. You can combine 2 contracts together to make up these 35 hours per week requirements. Yeah, so the definition of Western Australia graduates are you must have studied at least 2 years full-time in Western Australia and have gained one of the following qualifications from an accredited Western Australia educational institution. So the qualification can be university or higher education qualification, which are bachelor or above, and VET qualification, which is vocational education training qualification, but it must be at a Set 3 level or above. You can study from different qualifications to make up the 2 years, including the English language programs. So let's say if someone studied the commercial cookery package course in Western Australia, which is like 1 year Set 3 plus 6 months Set 4 and plus 6 months diploma. So in total, these 3 courses make up the 2 years study in Western Australia. That is considered, this person will be considered as Western Australia graduates. So this is the prioritizing. So this EOI in Western Australia, for Western Australia state nomination, the EOI will be prioritized as below. Okay, so for applicants who are currently residing in Western Australia will be given first priority. Applicants who are currently residing in interstate will be given the second priority. Applicants who are currently offshore will be given third priority. This is the ranking system for both of these 2 streams. And this is for graduate stream, they have another special ranking hierarchy. So first of all, they will people who got the highest Western Australia qualifications will be given the first priority. So first, the first priority will be given to people who studied PhD. Sorry, there is a typo. It's PhD or master's qualifications in Western Australia. Then it comes to the applicants who studied an honor degree or other high degree in Western Australia. So the other high degree can be graduate certificate or graduate diploma. And then it comes to people who completed a bachelor degree in Western Australia. This is for people who for people who studied higher education, and for graduates who graduated from the VET course, then the hierarchy will be like from people who studied advanced diploma, then come to people who studied diploma, and then Set 4, then Set 3. Okay, and after the qualification, it will come to the highest EOI points and then the oldest EOI submission date. Here, I've listed out a few questions that are always asked, that are frequently asked in terms of the Western Australia state nomination. The first question is, can I submit the EOI as soon as I complete the studies? So yes, but make sure you have already got the full skill assessment. All right, you must have already got the full skill assessment through CPA or IPA or CA. So this is the prerequisite for you to have access to any PR visas. Question 2, I am subject to Section 48 bar. Am I still eligible for state nomination? So Section 48 bar applies to people who got a visa cancellation or visa refusal onshore in Australia and currently is still waiting for the, let's say maybe currently is on AAT and still waiting for the decision from the AAT. So these type of people, these applicants, they will be subject to Section 48 bar and will be not allowed to apply most of the visas onshore. However, 190 and 491 state nomination. Okay, 190 and 491 state nomination. They are the 2 exemptions. So, which means even if you are subject to Section 48 bar, you are still eligible for state nomination. You're eligible not only for Western Australia state nomination, but also for all the other state nomination. So you can once you get invitation, you can apply either 190 or 491 visa just in Australia without departure. And the third question is, what requirements do I need to meet when claiming at least 6 months of work experience for graduate stream? All right, so the 6 months work experience, first of all, it must be Australian work experience. And secondly, it must be post-qualification work experience, and it must be paid employment. If your work experience was an internship without any pay, unfortunately, it was not considered. And also, like what I've mentioned just now, it must be no less than 20 hours per week. So if your pay slips was like if you were paid fortnightly, then it should be no less than 40 hours per pay slip that is mentioned on your pay slip. And last but not least, the work experience must be in your nominated occupation or closely related occupation. So the question 4 is, if I get an invitation for the subclass 491 nomination first, will I still have chance to get another invitation for subclass 190 nomination in the future? And my answer is yes. All right, you definitely have the same chance. And the 491 nomination invitation, it's actually not a visa invitation. So you need to first, everyone needs to make clear what is the procedure for state nomination. So the first step is to lodge the EOI. Okay, and then you will get an invitation from the state government. But that invitation is not to invite you to lodge the visa. Actually, it's just to invite you to lodge the state nomination. So only after you pass the state nomination application and got the state nomination approval, the immigration, the Department of Home Affairs will send you the final invitation link to lodge the visa. So as long as you haven't got the final invitation to lodge the visa, you always get another chance, or you always get multiple chances to get many nomination invitations, as many as you're eligible. Okay, I do have so many clients that they maybe they got the invitation for 491 for March, and followed by another 190 nomination invitation in April. So that is always happening. Question 5, how much money do I need to show as settlement cost if I live outside of Western Australia? Yeah, so this settlement cost, proof of settlement fee, is a requirement for applicants who are currently not living in Western Australia. So if you get an invitation for a state nomination, you need to provide the evidence of your funds along with the other application documents. So for the settlement fee, that is to provide evidence to show that you have sufficient funds to cover your settlement costs and the living costs for at least 3 months in Western Australia. If you're a single applicant, the fund you need to show is 20K. If you're a couple, then it's 30K. If you have any other additional dependents, then it's 5K. It's 5,000 per additional applicant. So the documents that you can show is like bank statements or statements of pensions, leave payment, or other entitlements that are cashable when you leave or exit your home country. Any property, like proof of ownership, formal like the title deeds, the current mortgage statement, the asset valuation, or any of your other assets like your motor vehicle registration papers, the formal valuation from an insurance company or licensed car sales, or even your jewelry evaluation. These are all good proof to show that you have enough money to settle yourself in Western Australia. And the 6th question comes to, if I get an invitation for nomination but is unable to process ahead due to some reason, will the lapses of the invitation affect my future chances of getting invitation? It will not. Okay, it will not. Actually, we will. You might know, or you might know any some of your friends surrounding you that they got invitation but they actually didn't go ahead for the state nomination due to many reasons. Maybe they haven't got a proper job contract, or maybe their EOI got any mistake, which lead them not be able to go ahead. These are all the reasons for them not be able to process ahead. So that is fine. Again, invitation for state nomination is just a pre-invitation. It is not the invitation for you to lodge the visa. So it will not affect anything. If, unfortunately, you have to let your invitation for a state nomination lapse, it is fine. Just quickly lodge another expression of interest lodge a new EOI, and you definitely have another chance and the same equal chance to get another invitation. And the last question is, what are the requirements for the employment contract? Okay, so this is another very popular question. Here I've listed out the key points for an employment contract. First of all, as I mentioned before, it must be a full-time with no less than 35 hours per week job, or you feel free to combine two part-time jobs together to make up the 35 hours requirements. And secondly, it must be in your nominated or closely related occupation. Thirdly, it must be in Western Australia. It must be paid appropriately based on market salary rates. I used to have a client who is an engineer whose nominated occupation is the electrical engineer. However, he was only paid 50K. He was only paid 50K plus super, plus 9.5% super, because it was like 2 years ago. I already noticed that might be an issue before we submitted the state nomination, but because his employer was not very happy to increase his salary, we had no choice but to submit the application along with this existing contract. So no wonder it came back, the Western Australia government, they came back asking the reason why this salary was that low, because as an engineer, normally as an engineer your pay should be no less than I would say 60 to 65K. So that became a big issue, and because his company was not very cooperative, so eventually leading this applicant's state nomination application got refused, just because his salary, his pay was not based on the market salary range. So be very careful on that. I would say, as a general accountant or as a graduate accountant, for the state in Western Australia state nomination, you should be paid no less than I would say no less than 54 or 55K plus 10% super. All right, these should be your appropriate paid. And last but not least, independent contractor agreement is not acceptable. Okay, so be very careful on here. I would like to share with you about one case study as well. Okay, so this will help you to have a better understanding of what is employment contract and what is independent contract. There is a client, we just named him as Jamie. Jamie got invitation for subclass 190 nomination on the general stream schedule 2. He submitted a 12-month independent contractor agreement with the state nomination application. In the agreement, it clearly mentioned the job title, which is closely related to his nomination, to his nominated occupation. And the employment commencement date as well as the termination date. And also his work hour is a full-time work hour. Also, it mentioned his hourly rate and superannuation. However, on the independent contractors, it just doesn't give him leave entitlement, such as the annual leave and the paid the sick leave, the personal leave. He doesn't have that because the agreement he holds is an independent contractor. And unfortunately, just because of this, his state nomination was bounced back, was refused, because WA government, for Western Australia state nomination, independent contractor is not acceptable. All right, so in your contract, it must clearly show that the full name of both the employer and the employee, the contract start and end dates, the job title and the related ANSCO code, the job description, which can be in a separate form, and the terms and conditions of employment, such as the salary, hours of work, leave entitlements, and superannuation. Okay, which must be no less favorable than those that would apply to an Australian citizen or permanent resident doing equivalent work. If your contract does not describe your terms and conditions of employment, you can provide an enterprise agreement or industrial award for your occupation. And also on the contract of employment, it must include the location of where you will work, and a statement that the work specified in the contract must be performed by the applicant and not contracted to a third party. All right, and also it must be signed and dated by the employer and the employee both, and must be drafted by the employer and not by the employee. So that are the detailed requirement for it, for a proper employment contract. All right, I can see there are so many questions. I will try to answer every one of you. Sorry, we are running out of time, but I'll try to finish everything. Okay. For Michelle Arias, her question is, oh yeah, sorry, this one has been answered. Okay, so Mahipo, he's asking which state should accounting graduates target in terms of PR pathway. I can't give you a very accurate or solid answer for now. Why? Because all the other states, they haven't announced their updated occupation list and the updated state nomination requirement for this financial year. So the only announced state is Western Australia. And you can see for Western Australia, actually the Western Australia is currently sponsoring, I would say all of the popular accounting related occupation, such as all types of accountants, finance manager, internal auditor and external auditor. So I would say it's not just because of myself, I'm located in Western Australia. It's definitely because I would say Western Australia currently for this financial year, including the past one financial year, the last financial year, we have experienced that Western Australia got a very, very good state nomination program for applicants for accounting graduates, no matter where you are. In the last 1 year, in the last one financial year, we have seen there were so many accounting graduates, even from interstate, who successfully got the invitation through the general stream schedule 2. All right, even without moving here. So I would personally strongly suggest Western Australia, but just stay tuned. Once the other state nomination, the requirement, the policy has been announced, we will definitely update you, and then you will have a better idea whether there is a better option for you in comparison to Western Australia. Okay, so for Chenup, his question is, are accountants likely to get 189 or 190 visas in New South Wales? So 189, I think just now I've already mentioned. So for this financial year, the slots for 189 has been doubled up. Not only doubled up, has been increased by more than 10,000. So definitely the chance is getting higher. But you have to be very patient, and you might need to have a very high point in order to get invitation soon. Why? Because in the past 2 years, there are so many pending EOIs waiting in the list already. Okay, waiting in the pool already. So it definitely will take time to clear all the pending EOI from the highest point and from the oldest EOI submission date. So you definitely have high chance, but still just keep an eye on the state nomination. That might be a better chance for you. And are accountants likely to get 190 visas in New South Wales? Definitely you have. I remember just even for Ayushi, she mentioned in her slide, currently for every state, accountant is in high demand. So no matter which state you're targeting, I would say accounting has all potential. Accounting is always very potential for all the states, but I just need to know the details of you, like where you studied and where you are currently, in order to have a better idea of how much chance you would have in terms of the New South Wales state nomination. Okay, for Hachi Vu, she asked where I can see the units I need to complete to pass the skill assessment, since my uni might have different unit name from your slide. Okay, so you wouldn't be able to see the units that you need to complete to pass the skill assessments apart from that slides that I showed you. So these are the only information that you might need to get. So in order for you to get a solid answer, an accurate answer whether your units have covered all the compulsory units or not, you need to submit your skill assessment application to CPA, IPA, or CA, and they have to assess from their side and to give you the idea whether you have met the requirement or not. Okay. And if your qualification was obtained from overseas, remember you have to submit the syllabus, which is the detailed course introduction for each unit. For Manoj, he's asking any chances for external auditors with 3 years of work experience to be invited for the 189 and 190. Of course, definitely. So same as the above question that I've answered. I'm not very sure which 190 you're talking about, but for external auditor in Western Australia, actually there is even no your work experience is more than enough. All right, your work experience is very good enough. But for external auditor, it is only on the graduate. Is only on the graduate stream. So make sure you are the Western Australia graduates. Otherwise, yeah, unfortunately, maybe Western Australia state nomination is not applicable to you. But we can just be patient to wait for the other state nomination, the other states to publish their state nomination requirements. Then we will have a better idea of which state you should go to. Okay, so Delaney, you're asking a question about Queensland. This is too in detail. I might need you to contact me. Okay, I want you to contact me personally so I can give you more idea, all right, about your case. So I'm not gonna answer this question here, but from the first slide, you will find my contact details. Feel free to contact me. And Gopika, he's asking, he applied for 491 under tax accountant with 85 points in May 2020 offshore, while stuck on 485 visa, currently onshore on 485 extension. When can I expect my visa grant? Okay, so are you talking about the Western Australia state nomination? So you mean you applied your 491 under tax accountants in May 2020 from offshore. So now you're actually back onshore, right? I hope I understand. This is my understand. Hope my understanding is correct. So in this case, the very first thing you need to do is to go to your EOI account and to update your current resident location. You need to change the location from overseas country to Western Australia. So that will make your EOI more prioritized. And I would say for 491, this 85 points is a potential point, but we need to wait. We need to wait because like in June, last month, there were no invitation for Western Australia state nomination. And for July, this month, the invitation hasn't come yet. So I would say you would definitely be very potential. Just be a bit patient. Okay. Yes, Shivani, you're asking how many hours are considered for full-time. So like what I say, for Western Australia state nomination, that's no less than 35 hours per week. Aman is asking what state is best for accounting PR. Like what I say, I would suggest to go for Western Australia because Western Australia has open to all the applicants. Okay, has open to all the applicants, no matter where you are. But if you didn't study in Western Australia, then the only occupation is applicable to you is the general accountant. Okay. So if you want to have access to Western Australia state nomination as an interstate applicant who didn't study in Western Australia, then your only available occupation is the general accountant. So there's a client, there's a audience asking, I mistook the hours with IST time, so joined late. Will I be able to get recording on this webinar? Yes, it will be. It is all recorded, and I believe our team will post it very soon. So stay tuned, and we will let you know where you can find this recording. Sam is asking, is 491 a good path once received visa is a PR confirmed. I would say so 491 is actually it's provisional. It's provisional regional sponsored visa. Okay, so of course, it's not as good as 190 or 189. Why? Because the other two visa, they are direct PR. However, for 491, it's just provisional PR. So this 491 visa gives you 5 years time, but you do not need to use up all these 5 years to become PR. You actually just need to hold this 491 visa for a minimum 3 years time. And then you will have your PR pathway through subclass 191 visa. And what is the requirement for you to have access to 191? It's actually quite easy. You just need to you just need to make sure that once you're on 491, you will continuously live in the regional area for 3 years time. So regional area is considered as any place that is outside Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney. So the whole Western Australia is regional. Okay. And also your annual income should be no less than the $53,900. This is the current salary threshold. Okay, so only these two requirements. Okay, once you meet these two requirements, yes, I would say your PR pathway is secured. And Gopika is asking, applied for 491 under. Yeah, so this is a repeat question that I've already answered. Shivani, she's asking, is casual full-time experience considered for New South Wales for both skill assessment and 482/186 visa? If in terms of the skill assessment, actually skill assessment doesn't require you to have any work experience. Okay, I've mentioned the skill assessment requirements. Actually, for qualification assessment, you do not need to provide any work experience. Only if you want to get your work experience assessed by the skill assessment body, but it's totally optional. It's not compulsory. If you're pretty sure your work experience is highly related to your nominated occupation, you do not need to apply for your employment assessment. But if you want, yes, you can get a second opinion from the skill assessment body. But remember, even though you get a positive skill assessment, even though you get a positive decision or opinion from the skill assessment body, you still need to provide all your work experience documents and evidence to the immigration in the future when they assess your visa application. So they will just use the decision from the skill assessment body as a guide, but they will check everything from beginning. Okay, and your second question is casual full-time experience considered for New South Wales? Let's wait for the new requirement that is published in New South Wales for this financial year, because it hasn't been announced yet. I would say there is just no point for us to discuss the last financial year's requirements, because everything will be changed. Okay, everything might be changed. Dasni, he's asking if we apply for 491 visa, will we receive a bridging visa? Yes, no matter what visa you applied onshore, you will receive a bridging visa. Okay, as long as you applied a valid visa, you lodged a valid visa application onshore, you will get a bridging visa. What title should be on the payslip for it to be considered valid form of work experience? So again, so title is actually just I don't know why you have this concern, but let's say if it's accounting, right? So your title should be something accounting, like taxation accountant or a general accountant or tax or management accountant, or let's say just accountant is also fine, or graduate accountant. So definitely the title should be relevant instead of payroll or instead of accounting clerk. That is totally different. All right, so the title should be related, but it does not need to be exactly the same, because each company, they might have their own way of naming the position. So apart from the name of the title. The other most important thing is the job description, is the detailed job duty. The job duty must be highly related to the nominated occupation. Okay, so title and the job description, they're both important. Wow, too many questions today. Okay, I might just filter some. Sorry about that, guys, because it's almost 3:30. I would just quickly go through the question that is related to Western Australia, because actually I even haven't finished my PowerPoint today. We're running a bit late. For overseas applicants, I am in the process of getting CPA qualification since I don't have. I am in the process. What is the question for this? Since I don't have work experience in Australia. So, Hanuja, I'm not sure what question you're asking. You're saying that for overseas applicants, I'm in the process of getting CPA qualification. Do you mean, are you eligible for CPA qualification? Is that what you mean? Are you eligible for CPA skill assessments? Yes, you still have eligibility, because for CPA skill assessments, they are just focusing on whether you have completed the compulsory units instead of where you did the qualification. Okay, and again, the skill assessment for accountants does not need work experience. Is there a minimum months living in Western Australia to be considered for 190 or 491 with a job offer? So there is no minimum months living requirement. So this is actually another highlight. Or another advantage of Western Australia state nomination, because in compared to the other state nomination, you might know most of the other state nomination, they would require you to have been either have been you are the graduates in their state, or you have been working and living in their state for at least 6 months or 3 months, or some states requires you to have been living there for 12 months. But in Western Australia, there is actually no such minimum month requirements of living. So let's say, even if you want to improve or enhance your chance to get invitation by moving to Western Australia, maybe like let's say you might just like move today and tomorrow straight away lodge the EOI. All right, that might be working as well. That will be working. Okay, so there is no minimum requirement on how many months you have been living here. For general accountant, 482 visa, any options to get PR as soon as possible? Any problems if I get paid a bit over than employment agreement mentioned? Oh, that's even better, right? I don't know how you got a bit, like you got paid a bit more, or maybe you got OT, or if you got like you got promoted. All right, but it should be fine. But if you want to discuss in details, please contact me. So for general accountant who is already on 482 visa, actually I've prepared some slides. I'll quickly show you. So for people who are already on the employer-sponsored visa, actually you would have other PR pathways. For general accountant, because you're on medium long-term list, so the first employer-sponsored pathway is 186, direct entry stream. If you have really got 3 years of full-time experience, okay, you actually can ask your employer to straight away sponsor you for this 186 direct entry stream. And here the full skill assessment is mandatory. Secondly, if you are already on 482 visa, you actually can, the other employer-sponsored pathway is 494. Let's say if your employer is unwilling to straight away sponsor you for a direct PR visa, he might be willing to sponsor you for 494, which is a provisional employer-sponsored regional visa. Okay, so in order to have access to this visa, first of all, you also need to have your employer to sponsor you. Secondly, you must have already got a 3 years full-time work experience in the last 5 years. Okay, so this 494 visa is very similar to subclass 491, the regional state-sponsored visa. So once you hold this visa, you still need to keep on maintain on this visa for at least another 3 years time, and then apply for the 191 visa to become the real PR. Okay, and another audience, he's asking, can you explain opportunity available for overseas applicants with chartered accountants? Okay, so if you are a chartered accountant, you're definitely you will have access to, you will be able to get the skill assessment as accountant, any type of accountant, depends on your work experience, which one is better for you. Okay, but again, chartered accountant is different from what we mentioned in the skill assessment. Even if you have passed the CPA as the CPA, like you have really got the CPA qualification or certificate, you still need to apply for the skill assessment. Okay, you still need to get the skill assessment for migration purpose in Australia. All right, guys, I think that's end of today. Sorry, we are running a bit out of time. So I hope you are happy with today's seminar. I understand that I haven't finished all the questions. So later on, I will try to finish the. I will just maybe I'll leave a message here, or you feel free to contact us, and we will arrange the consultation with you. Okay, and don't forget our giveaway. All right, don't forget our giveaway, please. This is just the day one of our virtual seminar, so we have another 4 days to go. So please keep tuned, and I hope all of you enjoyed the session. And yeah, we will keep in touch. Thank you.